This is Sober Mind. Here we go. Here we go. Happy Sunday, everybody. I'm going to do something a little bit different today. I had promised a couple folks a while ago when I made a quick video about venlafaxine, brand name Effexor, and Wellbutrin, brand name bupropion, as well as others. I'm going to call those Effexor and Wellbutrin for the rest of this episode, but I wanted to give a quick update. So, 19 months ago, I started this medication journey. I've covered a ton of this on a lot of the other episodes in our live streams that we do, so I'm not going to get into the nitty-gritty of it. This is mainly an update on where we're at with the medication. Pardon the background noise. It is Sunday, but I wanted to get this out. I've got some 3D prints going. If you notice in the top left or right by the 988 number, I put a inside of the PC camera, which I had laying around, which I think is pretty cool. Anyway, my medication journey began with Zoloft. I can't remember all the different dosages that I was given. Excuse me, but what had happened was I'm one of those cases that once I got sober, I was really well for about 2 weeks. I was sleeping good. I had a lot of energy. And then slowly but surely, a ton of anxiety, depression, and full-blown panic attacks started to creep up. So I had a panic attack so bad that it put me into the hospital. Well, I had to call 911 because I thought I was having a stroke and a heart attack and a seizure all in one. It was bad. Anyway, fast forward to starting to see a therapist to do some talk therapy about military and childhood trauma, and also a psychiatrist to do proper medication management. I say proper medication management because I think that is important to note. My primary care physician, he's an awesome man, knows everything about the body. He was a field surgeon, did like 4 or 5 tours over in one of the stands. Anyway, he knows a ton about the body, but when it comes to mental health, he's like, I don't know. You tell me what you want to do. And I'm like, I don't know what's going on. So, started seeing a psychiatrist, which was super beneficial, in a sense that they're experts. They know what they're doing with this stuff. So, started the Zoloft journey. Fast forward to about 3 or 4 months later, and it just wasn't working for me. I explained to the psychiatrist that I constantly felt medicated, even though my anxiety was starting to lessen and the depression was a little bit more manageable. The depression sometimes then and now just comes out of nowhere. I feel like I want to just curl up into a ball and wrap myself in blankets and do nothing. But on top of the Zoloft, the psychiatrist added Abilify because she thought my symptoms would do better with what I was describing, if that makes sense. I was describing my symptoms. She thought Abilify on top of the Zoloft would be a good addition because it's supposed to enhance the effects of an SSRI. Turns out that was no bueno. Abilify, for y'all that don't know, is an antipsychotic. It's used to treat various forms of other things I'm not going to get into right now. But after about a month and a half of that combination, I was going out of my mind. No pun intended. I should use a better term for us mental health folks that are looking at this stuff, but I felt like I was going out of control. I found myself doing projects late at night, early in the morning. I think I was having manic episodes, which I didn't have before. I was having really high highs and really low lows. Came back from vacation, talked to the doctor. I said, we got to quit this Abilify stuff. I don't care what else we try, but that's the only thing that makes sense that's putting me into this weird state. So we did. We tapered off that. We also tapered off Zoloft at the same time while, I forget the name of ramping up. Anyway, we moved over to Effexor. Very low dose while I was tapering off the other stuff, so 37.5 milligrams. Talk about a roller coaster of tapering off those two and then slowly up onto an SNRI, which is serotonin norepinephrine reuptake inhibitor. Zoloft is just a selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor. So again, I don't want to get into the science of that, and I'm no medical expert. I just know that when you start rerouting those chemicals in those different ways, it's a rough patch. So again, if you're dealing with a psychiatrist, there's the benefit of that because they know sort of right off the bat what they can do or which paths they can take. After about 3 weeks of the Effexor, we ramped it up to 75, and I was on that for about 2 months, and I was doing really well. I felt, I'm going to do quotes here, I felt normal for the first time in a long time, and that was the only medication that I was on. But I always had this low level of, like, depression was just around the corner. The only way to describe it is I was happy, but I didn't have that joy that one would get. It's really difficult to explain. My psychiatrist nailed it. She said, like, when you were a kid and someone would say you're going to go to the zoo next week or Christmas is coming up and you'd have that that excited anticipation for it, that joy, that happiness. When I told my psychiatrist, I said, the only time I remember feeling that in the last couple of years was before I would get ready to crack open a beer. And she said, well, it's because you're doing an immediate dopamine release, getting ready to have that reward system of the alcohol. So she recommended, so 30 years of hard drinking, I fried a lot of the dopamine receptors in my noggin as well. So she recommended Wellbutrin SR. There's 3 different versions: an immediate release, a sustained release, and an extended release. A lot of people seem to be on the forums that I read are on the extended release version. That kind of lasts throughout a whole 24-hour period. Excuse me. The SR, sustained release, works on about a 12-hour cycle. So I take both of my medications at 5 in the morning, and by around 5 p.m., I still feel about the same as I did all day. Very even-keeled, no spikes, very mellow. Let me back up. So the Effexor, 150 milligrams, then I was put on the Wellbutrin. Again, with all of this stuff, there's this, 6 to 8 week bake-in period. So I try to tell folks when they ask, you got to be super patient. Getting on these initially is a rock and roll roller coaster for a lot of people too, because the side effects can become a little bit overwhelming. I'm not trying to scare anybody out there. If you're not expecting it, the doctors tell you to just kind of deal with it. But it's different for everybody. You can go down the Google rabbit hole too when you start to see what people are going through. You can't go on Reddit and ask, is 150 milligrams of this good, or is this too much, or what am I doing? It doesn't matter what your body height, weight, ethnicity, all that stuff is. It just depends on your brain chemistry. So unfortunately, it's just a trial and error kind of a process, which is frustrating. So it takes a while to get to a state to where you can get back to a baseline. I hope that makes sense. That's the other thing I challenge myself and others to do, is try to do some reflection and think, well, am I happy? Am I still dealing with symptoms and side effects? What's going on? Do I have the anxiety? Do I have the depression? Is it chemical-based depression? Question yourself and see where you're at. The depression, while being work phone, spam call, excuse me. Anyway, after a couple months of being on the 75 of Effexor and the 150 of Wellbutrin, I started to feel depressed. It came on really quick. Around New Year's Eve of 2023, I remember it was New Year's Eve. I was working. I started to feel really, really good, like strangely aware and hyper conscious of everything that was going on. And I was like that for about a day and a half. And I think it was a manic episode. I put up those sound dampers on that wall and painted all of that with tape. And I have kind of a vague recollection of doing it. I like how it turned out, but I think that was one of the more pronounced manic episodes. So I made an appointment. Luckily, I got to see the psychiatrist in about 2 or 3 days after New Year's Day. And she said, yes, that's because the 75 milligrams of Effexor was a very low dose for me, and we were anticipating on ramping it up anyway. And I was like, I wish I would have known that. We could have avoided this little fiasco I was going through. Because after that period of elation, my depression came on really, really hard. I was in a dark, dismal place. That's the only way I can describe it. I did not want to do anything. I had zero interest in any of the small things that would give me pleasure. I love to do video gaming. Currently playing. I beat Elden Ring, and I'm back to. We're playing Assassin's Creed Valhalla for like the 3rd time. But when I'm in that state of depression, I can't. Doesn't matter what you put in front of me. You could put $100,000 in front of me. I shit you not. I would not feel excited about that. I might pay some bills and be like, whatever, but I won't have any joy. That's what's tough to explain about depression to people that have never experienced it. I posted a short the other day that's getting a lot of traction, that resonates with a lot of people. And that is, I've worked very hard. I had a shitty childhood. I'm 50 years old, and I've got a really good life. Got a fantastic wife, great friends, great support system. Really good friend Patrick, who hosts this stream with me on Saturday morning and Tuesday nights. And life is good. My bills are paid. I'm healthy. I just ran a 10K this morning with Patrick, and that was fun. I'm on a really nice path to success, and I feel good. So, yeah, why do you wake up depressed? It's a chemical deficit / reaction / misfire. There's just something that goes on with the makeup in my brain that causes that to happen. That's what happens with depressed people. We don't wake up and go, you know what? I'm going to choose to be in a super dark, dismal place. I want to be happy. I can go for a 5-mile run, and even the endorphin release won't make me feel good. So this is why I like to have these open discussions about the medication management journey that I'm on. it was not a placebo effect. As soon as she increased my Effexor from 75 to 150, it had to be 12 hours. Within 12 hours, the doom and gloom was gone. It lifted. I swear it was like I took sunglasses off. I saw some brightness and I was like, oh, man, thank God I got out of that alive. I'm not joking, you guys. Depression, sometimes it hits us really hard. I was just like, man, I'm glad I'm back from that, because I was getting pretty deep. So yeah, that's where I have been venlafaxine Effexor 150 for about 3 months. This past Friday, she increased my Wellbutrin SR from 150 to 200 because we were discussing the dopamine deficiency. You see, I like to have these conversations, but this is where it gets down to a science, which is confusing and frustrating and a lot of trial and error involved. There's just no easy way to do it. I know people are like, what? Did Zoloft work for you? How about this? How about that? I don't know what to tell you. I know that sounds super harsh and cold. You have to go talk to a professional, and they need to see what works for you. There are people that have gone years on these waves of writing an SSRI and seeing what works. Different brands, different variations, different dosages. So it's tough. It's frustrating. Some people are lucky. I've got a friend that got put on Zoloft, and within a month, she's like, this is the best I've ever felt. Don't know what else to do. I'm like, you lucky son of a bitch. Anyway, I'm in a good spot now. The antipsychotic, absolutely no good for me. I didn't need it. She misinterpreted, or I misspoke about one of my symptoms, and we thought that was a good thing to try. So challenge what you're being prescribed, and make sure that you monitor it. Give it bake-in time before you make an adjustment, and then go figure it out. That sounds ridiculous when I say that out loud, and I apologize. I know I keep talking in circles about this, but that's just sort of all there is to it, trial and error. The Wellbutrin going up to 200 sustained release from 150. I was a little bit concerned about the side effects that I would have, because when I initially got put on the Wellbutrin, I had armpit sweat like no tomorrow. About an hour after taking the pill in the morning, I would just be soaked. Just soaked. Forehead, upper lip sweat. That lasted for about 2-3 weeks. This time going to that increase, I could tell. So Friday morning was the first time I took it. No, Saturday. Now it's Sunday. I know from all of these changes that I would have had a side effect yesterday already. I can tell this is having a very gentle uplift in dopamine. I was telling my wife yesterday that everything felt balanced and it felt good, and I feel pleasant. I'm not overly joyful. I'm not riding a wave of emotions though. So we'll give this a while and we'll see how it goes, but I think this is about my sweet spot. If you go on Reddit again and you ask people, what do you take? Just take, that's not your brain chemistry. You can sort of get an idea of what people are doing, but just be very careful with other recommendations from folks. Okay. I did this because, it's not a very popular format for everything that we're doing. I know it's not all TikTok-y and attention deficit friendly because there's no flashiness going on here, but I wanted to have a good conversation a few months ago when I did this update. I think I said this in the beginning of this, that someone commented that they would really like to hear some more updates because there's not enough information on YouTube out there. Again, people do more of a medical breakdown of this stuff, and the folks that give their real-world experiences are given their experiences, but it's helpful to hear multiple people talk about the multiple medications they're on and the dosages that they're on, and a little bit of the background and history. So, I don't know, people can understand that it takes time and patience, and that we all know that there's other folks that are going on a similar journey. You're not alone out there. Be kind, be patient, be gentle with yourself. Talk to a friend. If you're lucky enough to have medical insurance and live in an area where you can talk to a psychiatrist, highly recommend that. I think I take it for granted where I live that that's just readily available to me. And with my medical insurance, yes, I'm in the United States, in the Midwest, and I think my medical insurance is fantastic. I got on the directory, booked an appointment with a psychiatrist, and saw them, and that was that. So, again, empathy to those folks out there that don't have insurance and stuff readily available. That's gotta suck. Sorry. I wish I could help. But that's that. Also, be careful of looking at the comments from internet trolls out there. It makes me chuckle. But you know, some of the feedback I got when I give this information out, and I'm not afraid to talk about the fact that I have depression, anxiety, panic attacks. Actually, I don't have a lot of that now. It's under control. And I'm on medication. I don't want these things to be taboo subjects. It's not talked about enough. Mental health is important. Everyone always says that, but no one says, well, what do we do to address it anymore? I'm not a savior. I'm no saint. I just want to make sure that we can have these conversations. The internet trolls out there have some strange advice. One dude said, just smoke some pot and you'll be fine. No, that's not how my brain works. In fact, if I went back to that, I'm pretty sure I'd end up in the hospital from another full-blown panic attack. Not because marijuana is the devil's arugula, as the old folks say. It's just that sobriety for me is the thing that makes my brain feel good, makes my spirit and soul feel healthy. I'm not preaching. I'm an alcoholic. I can't drink anymore. Moderation is not in my wheelhouse. It was starting to destroy my mind, spirit, body, and soul. And my wife. We're both on this journey together. So if you're fortunate enough to be able to have a drink or two or whatever, and you can control it, then good on you. And as far as the marijuana is concerned, have at it if that's your thing. I was born and raised in Humboldt County. I'm 50 years old. I was around the marijuanas way before a lot of you folks can even remember it being popular. So anyway, you do you. If mental health is a struggle, maybe it's not a good idea to smother it in alcohol and THC and cannabinoids. Maybe get some exercise, keep an eye on your diet, get some good sleep, quit the booze and the drugs, and maybe look at some of these better pharmaceuticals. I don't know. Okay. I have a Discord channel. If anyone wants to ever be a guest on the show or reach out to me and talk, it's posted in the description and the about of this channel. So, all right, that's it. This was nothing flashy. I wanted to give an update as I promised. I will probably do this again. It is March 19th right now. Maybe 2 or 3 months to let you know how the Wellbutrin SR 200 milligrams from 150 is going. Okay, be well, be kind, be gentle to yourselves, and I love you all. Actually, I don't. You know what? Some YouTubers say they love you. I don't love you guys. I don't even know who I'm talking to right now. I love my wife and my dog. All right, I've said too much.